Welcome to 2 cents short of a dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. Today, I want to talk about some exciting boxing. So unfortunately, schedules were a little bit busy, so we didn't get a chance to do a prediction to Bam Rodriguez versus Sonny Edwards. But definitely want to do a recap because man, that fight did not disappoint in my opinion. Maybe later on I'll rank them, but from right now, just briefly thinking, this is one of my favorite fights I saw all year. Man, I think that was a really, really good fight. They talked the talk, and I think both guys walked the walk. Of course, Bam Rodriguez was successful. I thought he would win. I thought he just had a little bit more in the toolkit than Sonny did, but I think Sonny fought an impressive fight as well. So when you saw the fight, just tell me about your initial reaction to the fight.
So just like you, of course, I had Bam winning that fight prior to I predicted he's going to win. We do knew this is going to be a step up in competition, right? Especially with Bam winning his previous titles. Those are vacant titles essentially, but this guy was a champion, and Sonny was coming in as, a really skilled fighter, slick fighter, and some people even had him beating Bam. Mm-hmm. So I think overall with the fight itself, it did not, of course, disappoint at all. One of the better fights of 2023, which is the reason why 2023 is probably going to go down in history as the best year in boxing. Bam really put the pressure on him. I think he may have fractured his eye socket or orbital bone in the second round, which Sonny did confirm that he was unable to see. But he did fight back. He did get dropped. He got up, kept fighting, but ultimately the fight was stopped in the corner, and Bam went on to win. So it was a great fight, especially because there were chatters and there was talks about how Bam was going to perform, going down in weight, but more importantly, how his jaw was going to be, because he got his jaw broken his last fight against Hernandez. I'm familiar with his previous opponent, but it seems like Bam is right back in action. He showed that there are levels, but he showed that he was a superior fighter that night for sure.
Yeah, and then he had a 7-inch arm length advantage. They kept shouting it out all night, because he was, jabbing. But there was a lot of times where even though he would hit Sonny would come back with something like boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? He just kept pressing action, which is not really how Sonny usually fights. He usually moves around in the beginning of the fight. But he came to fight.
He stayed in the middle.
And I mean, you got to appreciate that as a fight fan. He came to fight, so he was definitely landing some hits back. And at first, I was just like, all right, I couldn't really tell who hits were having more impact. I thought Bam, but that's maybe just because that's probably just psychologically because I thought he would win the fight. But at first, I'm like, nah, they going at it, they're getting at each other. Impressive counter punching. Great movement by Bam. Just if you just take a second just to watch his feet and just the way he moves his feet, really, really impressive. But Sonny was a tough guy. He kind of reminded me like of when it comes to like just mind state of how he was, like a Ricky Hatton or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just a guy who was just like, all right, now I'm gonna just keep coming. I'm gonna keep coming at you. Probably more skilled, but it was crazy. And then the knockdown when it finally happened, it was just so how Bam set that up, and then he caught him. It was perfect. I didn't think Sonny was going to get up. Like I thought he would get up and maybe fall back down, but he got up. He kept trying to go. I know ultimately in the corner he said, no more. But man, I was like really like just speechless watching the fight. Like I was so excited. I'm just like, wow, they fight at 112, right?
Yeah,
like bro,
112 pounds, bro.
112 pounds.
They're shedding more light and I think as time progressed, we're starting to see more light on the lower weight classes, especially at that weight, right? Because I didn't know about Bam Rodriguez until one of the viewers dropped a comment.
In one of our earlier videos, they're like, you got to check Bam out.
Yeah, got to check because he's really skilled and all and whatnot, right? And then I was looking, I was like, oh, this guy's he's good, like very skilled, like giving me like Lomachenko vibes in terms of his footwork, right? In terms of how he gets patterns, and then of course, you still got Sonny, other really skilled fighters at that weight class at the flyweight division. So it was pretty fun. It was really refreshing to see. That was definitely one of the better fights of 2023.
One thing that was really noticeable to me, like early on in the fight, Sonny was going like from orthodox southpaw. He was doing it really fluently, But then Bam started catching him in the transition. He started catching him in the transition, and I'm just like, man, you gotta be really good. Like if you watch him, I thought the switch was fluid early on, but you gotta be really good to just like stay the course, catch a guy in the transition, and not get caught up. Because sometimes you get caught up and like, okay, you get thrown off when they go from orthodox to southpaw, southpaw to
Right.
orthodox. So I thought Bam's just focus and attention to detail was amazing.
Right.
um Sonny, another thing I noticed, Sonny doesn't sit down from round to round, and I know some guys do that. It's more unconventional, but I wonder if that tires you out. You know what I'm saying? I know it's probably like a mental game you're playing with yourself. Like, I'm not tired. I don't get tired on that Kevin Gates. I'm gonna just stand up. But
Hmm.
I wonder if ultimately maybe he should have just had a seat, kind of just get his legs back under him for a second and come back out. I'm not saying that would have changed the result of the fight, but what do you think about guys when they're just like, nah, I'm not sitting down between the
Yeah,
bells?
it's usually more psychological that they generally do that, and it shows like, okay, you got the conditioning that you should be standing. But depending on the fight that you're in, maybe you may need that little break so you can push extra in the round in the next following round, right? Give your legs a little bit of a break. But I don't know. I don't know what the science is behind that. So, but I think it's more psychological than anything.
Yeah, so now Bam's like now a unified champion at the division. I know there were talks about Chocolatito,
Hmm.
but I mean, I'm not too well versed in the division, so I gotta just do a little bit more research on the division. But it's
Yeah,
definitely something I'm gonna keep my eye on. Bam's a rising star. What did they say? How old is he? 23 or something like that?
yeah, he's pretty young. Bam is really young.
Yeah, it was pretty young, but yeah, I think they got one with Bam. I
Yep,
think Bam is the real deal.
I agree.